Welcome to the TACE show. I'm your host, Tim.
I'm Corey.
And we're here to talk about movies. The movies we chose was Pulp Fiction for this episode. If you haven't and you've been living under a rock, please go watch this movie. Go watch this movie.
Prior to watching this, ideally. Because this will be a lot of spoiler alerts.
Yes.
Otherwise.
Turn this off and
pause. Go to Netflix. Yeah. No, it's not on Netflix. I found that out the hard way.
It's on Netflix. Pulp Fiction's on Netflix. I watched it on
30
Netflix.
minutes or less. That was
30 minutes or less is not on Netflix.
I did. It's on Netflix. Pause, go to Netflix, come back, unpause, come join us as we talk about Pulp Fiction right around the time of the 25th anniversary. It's just in October. It's going to hit 25 years. We thought, I was 9 when it came out. You were a little bit older. 14?
Yes. Yeah, about 4. It came out in 94. Yeah, 14 years old. I was 14 years old.
So it's been a long time.
I still remember watching that. I didn't watch it right when it first came out. I didn't watch it. It was one of those things that it lurked around. Pulp Fiction, and then all of a sudden it came into my hands back in the day when videos were being rented. Mm-hmm. But I got it, and I was like, okay, let's see what this is all about. And wow, the whole not making the movie linear, like taking it out of order like they did. Oh, mind-blowing. And it was done so flawlessly. Like, you didn't even see the original, you didn't see how classic it was. Like, every little piece had a protagonist, every little piece had a conflict, and it was just resolved. So it gave you, they came away feeling different from how it started, and every little one, you know what I mean? So it told a good little story, whereas other movies, you start from A and you wait until you get to B. You know what I mean? And it's straightforward. This was cut up, so you were like, oh, this just happened. Why are their clothes different here? Wait. When you first watch it, you're like, well, what happened? And then you watch it again, you're like, oh my God. And then you watch it again, you're like, yes, this movie is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, in light of us doing this, one of the things we sort of did a little research in addition to watching the movie, watch some YouTube videos. Actually, Vanity Fair put out an insane in-depth article. I mean, it took a while to get through, but it was incredibly interesting, filled with a lot of interesting things. A lot of the things that we started discussing after we watched the movie was, who were the original potential cast members? Were these who we wanted to go with? Samuel L. Jackson, Travolta, Bruce Willis, etc. And come across that article, it answers everything. Apparently, they interviewed all the cast, 15 years later, 20 years later, I can't remember what it was. But years later, they come back, talk about it, and what will make this quite interesting is Tim didn't get through it all. I did. So I can kind of...
It was a long article.
It was really long.
A long article.
So I can kind of quiz him and get his reactions to...
Which will be great.
What seems to be, the real story behind all this. And there's some really...
Let's get back to the characters. What you were saying about the characters was we were fascinated about how we were like, oh, who were originally casted for these different characters. Mm-hmm. The one I found out was Uma Thurman. Mm-hmm. She was not she wanted to be on it, but they passed her up, or she passed them up.
She was really reticent about doing it. And she had to have multiple private meetings with Quentin. I wrote it down actually. She there's the other. Okay, she had issues with the character's drug habit, the rape of her husband, and the GIMP scene. So they had very long, memorable so this brings up a very, very interesting topic in addition to who they had. So what they didn't talk about was whether Uma was the first and they looked for others because she wasn't sure.
Well, why don't you tell the people who they were going to cast?
Well, see, that's what I'm not sure, is whether Uma was the first one that they wanted, and
No,
whether...
but who were the other characters? Who were the other actresses? We had...
So you have Michelle Pfeiffer.
Which would have been an awesome.
That would have been
character.
really interesting.
We have... Who'd you say that you couldn't see?
Meg Ryan.
And why?
That was, just... I haven't seen her in a lot, but I've seen...
Wasn't that the era where she was doing Got Mail? You Got Mail with Tom Hanks.
You would imagine.
So she's very
like
upbeat. Yeah.
To play a drug addict and the husband.
She would have pulled it off. I think she would have pulled it off.
She's good enough.
She's a good actress.
I don't know. Who else? Holly Hunter. I might have looked her up. I can't remember who that is. But Rosanna Arquette. That would have been really good too.
Yes.
I think she's really good. She can play. Stigmata. She plays really good dark roles, so she could have done really well in that. But...
And then what was the other the craziest one? The Seinfeld, Julia Dreyfus.
Oh, okay, I didn't write that down, but
she was looked at for that role too.
That would,
and that's weird. The most interesting one.
That would be weird too.
She was she couldn't do it. She said she couldn't do it because she was already in she was already in the season of gosh darn, why can't I even think of it? Don't get too high before you do podcast. Seinfeld, but they were already in the stages of recording and stuff. They were already working, so she couldn't pull herself from Seinfeld to do the movie. Or she just said, "Hey, I'm already tied up with Seinfeld. I'm passing." But that would have been crazy. Like, imagine, because you have, when I first watched this movie, it was like you got Bruce Willis. I'm like, holy crap, how'd they get Bruce Willis in this movie? You got Tim Roth. Like, watching Tim Roth in the very beginning.
Which one's Tim Roth?
Pumpkin. Tim Roth's Pumpkin. Honey Baby. In the very opening scene, we're in the diner.
Oh, the couple.
The couple.
Okay.
That's Tim Roth.
Okay.
He's in Reservoir Dogs, bro.
Okay, I didn't even recognize him.
Right? That's
been
crazy.
So long.
So you got
weird.
Tim Roth right in the opening. You're thinking, okay, when I watch the movie, I'm like, okay, Tim Roth is going to be in this movie the whole time. And then you have like Bruce Willis in there. So you're thinking Bruce Willis is going to be it's going to be about him the whole time. Then you got John Travolta. And at the time, Samuel L. Jackson, he did, what movies did he do back there? Not a lot. He didn't do a lot, but he wasn't really known. He did a couple movies, and then from this movie, him playing this character, it just rocketed his career. Yes.
Which that gets interesting too, because apparently Quentin wrote the part for Samuel L. Jackson. Basically, it wasn't even an audition. He just wanted Samuel L. Jackson to come out and just read the lines. That's it. Not audition, just come read the lines. We just want to go over it.
Yeah, because
you're it. But
that's
for
crazy.
whatever reason, he had, what's his name? Paul Calderon. I looked him up. I've never heard of him before, but
he's the guy that plays Paul.
He's the bar guy.
I'm just Paul. I don't know it all, or something.
Oh, does he have his own name? Oh, that's weird.
He has his own name.
That's his real name.
Yeah, so
he's Paul been in other things. But so this was interesting. He came in, and for whatever reason, Quentin had him do a reading in front of him, and he did such a good reading that and this is from Quentin's words, that it put Samuel L. Jackson's position in jeopardy. And so then Samuel L. Jackson had to come back and prove his worth, and I guess kind of at the encouragement of Harvey Weinstein, like, you want him, you got to get him back, you got to impress him. And so he goes back and blows them away with his performance. And he blows them away with that, the scene that ended up being the last scene. They didn't even know that was going to be the last scene until they saw him act. And they're like, that's the last scene. That you got the part, and that's the last scene. That's how good.
And what was the last scene? The one where he's diner.
Yeah,
right.
Him talking about him doing the Bible verse again
with Tim Roth, and this time it being
he lets him go. Yeah.
And it's crazy because they dude. Not only did I do articles, but I listened to people. We went over everything, and the contrast of his characters, like I was saying earlier, each story has a has a protagonist, a problem, and a resolve, you know, and he's a mean pit bull in the beginning. You know, he's walking up to the apartment and he's, you know, just a killer, stone cold killer. That's what they do, right? Then the guy jumps out of the bathroom when he's in the apartment, and they do that. It holds a scene. Right. He jumps out of the bathroom, point blank, shoots him and Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta's character. Yeah. Point blank. And they do not die. He misses every shot. Or the Samuel L. Jackson says that it goes through him. He goes, those should have went through us because the bullets were right behind him. And that's when he has the epiphany that he's, you know...
It was God.
Yeah.
Intervene.
And he's like, okay, I'm going to stop this. And then because he used that same Bible verse and said, hey, this is what I do and say before I kill people just like you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then he thinks from him delivering that all the time, God intervened because he's walking and getting rid of the filth. And then when he delivers it to Tim Roth, it's different. It's not. He even says, I used to say this and it's different. Yeah. And that's his resolve. And that's what I love about this movie. And you get captured about it. And it's just not like, oh, you know, Quentin Tarantino, great writer. Yeah. You know, he's a genius, dude. This guy just nailed it with this movie. I love
that brings up some interesting points, which I don't know if you got to, about his... I guess assistant,
Chang.
Yeah.
She's a really good friend of his and wrote his handwriting.
Okay, you did get to that part.
I also had a whole bunch of other articles.
Oh, okay.
You know, clip note articles. I call them clip note articles. If you're not a big article reader like me, go look for clip note articles because they highlight a lot of good stuff. But anywho, she wrote. She typed up. She was a notary, and she typed up all his handwriting words, his handwriting script.
Well, she called him a functional illiterate. So they had the handwritings of a madman, and I couldn't believe this. Had 9,000 grammatical errors averaged per page. 9,000.
That sounds like me.
1,000.
It sounds like me.
How many words per page? How many could you even fit in per page? Anyways, I thought that was
he was
insane.
just probably adding commas everywhere.
Well, ironically,
he was just
that's what. And she said she would take them out,
sentences.
Then he would read it and add them back in. He would add the mistakes back in because he said he liked the way it looked or read or something like that. I'm like, that is fucking bizarre. Anyway, whatever it takes to produce that, fucking so be it. And she recognized that. She's like, you know, I can kind of see it was like Diaries of a Madman.
Did you know that in return she asked him what she asked him to do in return for writing this up for him?
Yeah, it wasn't.
It was to take care of her bunny.
Oh, and he let it die.
And he said no, and it ended up dying. And to make her feel better, he named the character Honey Bunny after the bunny was named Honey Bunny. I know, right? I didn't think. I was like, how's that like, hey, I know I killed your bunny.
Now you can remember how I killed it every time you watch the movie.
Every time you watch the movie.
That was weird.
And we're going to make Honey Bunny a ruthless killer.
Yeah, that's...
For I execute every one of you last motherfuckers. That's a great line right there. She just gets... And then it starts right into the movie.
Yeah.
That was cool. That was pretty cool.
They bring it back around, you go, oh shit, it's happening. I think at that time that had never really been done. And so...
That's what I'm saying.
Go, oh my... Holy shit! This is all connected, and you know, since then, how many movies have done that
over and over?
Exactly, but when you know, it's
like a cliche
hard
now to really do that, and
you take it for granted how incredible it was to do that at that time.
Yeah, because like I told you, I had it in. It was lurking around. It's like a video people tell you about, and you're like, okay, when it comes in my hands, I'll watch it.
Exactly.
And it was that time I went to the video store. I was like, oh, Pulp Fiction. Let me see what it's about. But when I seen it. It blew my mind away because of how, and like you said, in the starting, you see that scene, it ends up being nothing throughout the whole movie until the very end when they get shot out Or well, no, because that's another thing. But when they have to clean up, they clean up, they get shot at, they get cleaned up, and then they go to the diner, then that happens, and you're like
goofy ass clothes.
Yeah. And
what did Marcellus say?
Which Quentin Tarantino actually plays a character in that movie.
The guy at the house.
Yes, his buddy.
Just get him the fuck out of here. Yeah. That. You know, it's funny. Amidst all those insane actors, upper echelon actors, his acting stood out to me as being subpar. It was not as good. You could tell he was acting.
Yeah.
Compared to the rest, they felt the character. Every single one of them. Not a moment did I feel like they were playing a character.
He's too his demeanor is too powerful just to be a mediocre guy. Yeah. You know, and he felt mediocre. He's like, I want the mediocre because I got all these actors here, and then I have to step up my game because I have all these actors here.
It could have been that.
You know what I mean?
So he kind of overplayed his minor role.
Or he just overplayed his minor role.
That's an interesting point.
So this
hold on. There's one hole I kind of found, one hole that reappears that I'm like, well, hold on. How does this not throw a wrench in the entire movie? And it's kind of early is twice.
Yeah.
They're shooting very early in the morning in apartment complexes with many, many people. I mean, maybe, this is back in the day, so maybe the police work wasn't as good and as fast, but how did nobody show up? There was no sirens at any point. They didn't go very fast.
Because it was like, I know, it was what? He goes, it's 7:33, hold back, we're early, right? 7:33 a.m. in the morning, they got there. And they're eating hamburgers too. That was a great one too. Yeah. They're eating hamburgers, like you said earlier, which is great. That was funny to me. I was like, you could. I guess you could if there's a hamburger place.
You've been up all night or something. But if it's actually your breakfast, you're fucking disgusting.
Right.
You fucking pig.
Right.
No, I'm kidding.
What I was gonna say, but back at it's 7:33. They come in. So they talk. Let's just say that scene is just smashed up, and that was like a little bit longer. Prolongs a little longer. He walks in really slow, dramatic. Yeah. That's cool. Nobody, you get a little argument in the morning. Somebody wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. But then he shoots the dude.
Right.
And there's like a good 10 minutes.
Yeah, they're like
in between, and he's asking the guy. He's like, now, did I break your concentration? Homeboy's like, and then it just pauses right there. They're like, He busts the table open. Yeah. So there's a wreck. You hear the table get flipped. You hear him screaming. Then he asks them. Guy comes out. Yeah. Then he asked them. What he asked them? He goes, what does Marcellus look like? And he says, what? And then he keeps on asking them the famous.
Say what again?
Say what again? Which he tells him it's a great dialogue because he's scared off his ass. He's looking up at him. He has a gun pointed at him. And he's not even thinking correctly because if I had a gun pointed at me, I'd be shitting myself. I'd be like, I'm dead. Say, what do you want me to do? Wait. Yeah. That's basically me. So him saying that was so great in character. And then he shoots him in the shoulder. And then he takes more time to tell him the whole rant about the passage.
Yeah.
How long is that? Dude, how long did that take us to explain that? I mean, cops would have been there already, right? But it's L.A.
Yeah, it is L.A.
L.A. cops are known to not show up on time.
When was this actually supposed to be set?
I believe
70s, 80s,
I believe early. I believe 80s. Early 80s.
Okay, that makes it a little bit more believable. Anyway, I just thought that was weird. I'm just kind of like, how did they get away with no issues?
Because look at the cars they were driving around and stuff. It was a lot.
60s.
Yeah, it was very older cars. You know what I mean? Yeah. And not like the cars that we see in the 90 version. You know what I mean? So I think it was set back more, which they didn't establish in the movie. What what era it was.
Yeah, you just kind of go by the looks of, Travolta's hair, which apparently he had to fight for. He didn't want him to have that weird
long hair.
Yeah, and also Samuel L. Jackson's wig, the Jerry curl, which is such a good character touch. Quentin didn't want that. He wanted an afro, but the runner that was sent to the store
got the wrong way.
Didn't know what an afro wig was.
No,
so just got a Jerry curl wig.
Shut up.
But Samuel L. Jackson then fought for it. He's like, no, that's good for the character.
No.
I absolutely agree.
The patted down Jerry curl.
It is so weird looking.
But you know what? It's funny how like in when something's used and you don't know about it, like you hear about, they plan out movies really well. There's mess ups all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, like Uma Thurman, right?
Yeah.
She's this is the scene where now John Travolta has to take her out. They went out, they had a good time at that Jack Square, and then all of a sudden they come back. She's sitting there. He goes to the bathroom. She sits back. She has his jacket on, right?
Yep.
Then they cut to him talking. They cut back to her. She's lighting a cigarette. She has no jacket on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they cut to him again. He's talking. Cut back to her. She's sitting back now with smoking her cigarette with the jacket back on. And then she pulls out the treat.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? There's little fumbles like that, and you're like, okay, we don't notice them unless we watch that movie over and over again, and people point them out. Yeah. That was something that was pointed out to me, and I seen that, and I was like, oh, jeez, you don't see that until they point it out. Yeah, but those are the fumbles and mistakes that happen. So just like that wig, they just went with it because that was the runner went. He didn't know what an afro was, which is so awesome. That's fucking hilarious. And then he went. He just got that, came with it. They put it on him. Quentin Tarantino had probably like 15 minutes left.
Well, I don't even think it was that. It was Samuel L. Jackson literally fought to make sure that was his character.
No way.
Part of his character. Same with we're going off movie, but same with Tobias Funke.
From Arrested Development.
He fought for the mustache.
And he also fought for that character because he was supposed to play...
Oh, right, yes.
What's his name? The main character.
Yeah.
That's off topic.
Anyway. So it does happen, yeah.
There's fumbles in the movie.
Or switch,
So let's back up. We love this movie. We're just going everywhere. That's what we do. We fucking get stoned, watch great movies, and talk about them. And hopefully you guys get it. But here's how it goes. So the opening scene is a diner scene, right? You got the two characters. You got Pumpkin and Honey Bunny. They're talking, and this is great. It's the dialogue. The dialogue that he wrote for this movie is like stripped down, plain Jane, let's talk. But it's about things that if you were sitting in that diner and you caught that with something like, what the you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's topics you want to hear about. And like, who's going to sit in a diner, talk about how they're tired of holding up liquor stores. It was liquor stores because they were being owned by more Asians, Indians, and they'll fight for them. He's like, he goes, you go to a bank, it's insured money. And she's like, what, you want to rob banks now? I mean, that's not everyday talk. So they're talking that, you're listening, you're engaged. Then it turns into, they just ate breakfast, and now they're going to rob the place. And then that's when she stands up. She gives that opening scene, then cut to the rolling credit, Pulp Fiction, and then the what's great is how they do the transition. It's the credits, Pulp Fiction. Then what happens is the radio starts, the dial starts changing, the radio station changes. Then it's another song. It's Dietary. Now it's in the movie, and it's coming out of the speakers of the car that we have both the characters, Jules and Vincent. The assassins played by Samuel L. Jackson and Travolta. And it's crazy, Reservoir Dogs, how Reservoir Dogs had Vic Vega.
Oh, yeah. I was reading some comments saying they're supposed to be brothers.
They were supposed to be, he was supposed to play Vincent Vega.
Oh yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
And I guess he turned down the role to be in that Wired Earp movie or something like that. But what had happened was they said that not only that there's also intercorrelations with that, like Vic Vega. Now there's like Vic Vega, the Vega brothers. Do you know what the Vega brothers are from? They're from Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh,
remember, it's Quentin Tarantino and George Clooney, and they're the Vega brothers. See, it's just jumping from scene to scene. As he just did that. Now he's an assassin in this movie. But it's great. It's great. Crazy. So we have these two assassins. Now it jumped from this diner scene.
Well, before that, I wrote down some things I thought were really interesting. Him convincing her, talking about, should we do the bank? Well, the restaurant has less of a hero factor. And I put this in quotes because I'm like, oh dear God. But it's a testament to their characters, how he wrote them. She goes, oh, that's pretty smart. That's a pretty smart idea to rob a restaurant. Which I'm thinking, most people with morals and ethics and critical thinking that's not a good idea. Because of it's not pretty smart. It's pretty fucking stupid.
Hostage situation. You got
so many reasons.
More people. You got people walking in on you easily.
You're being a piece of shit.
Be a
good human.
Well, any robbery too, but any robbery too would be a piece of shit. But like, let's bring the factor that any robbery would be a piece of shit. But let's bring the factor that there's more people that you can kill because somebody.
Although that was the reason, another reason to rob the restaurant, because there's more people. They said you got all the people to steal their wallets.
Yeah, because they're thinking like a piece of shit instead of saying, "Oh, there's more people that can get hurt or catch a bullet."
Yeah.
But
that's true.
When this scene, the opening scene came and it was this diner and you got it, and then it cut straight to the don't anybody move. That's crazy because it went 0 to 100 real quick. And not only that though, it was like boom, done like that. And you're like, what the fuck was that scene about?
Very good.
It was in the pocket. You got it. You just thought, because let's remember, movies weren't made like that. Mm-hmm. So you just thought that was a slap you in the face, punch you opening. So that's what I got. Like, wow, okay, what's this movie about? That's the opening. What the fuck is this movie about?
Yeah.
Right?
And then the next scene's talking about cheeseburgers.
Yeah, right? So, and then you were saying, what's funny is if you actually look in the credits, it says Coffee Guy. Coffee Guy played by Coffee Guy. Because in the scene, it says, he grabs the store manager and he goes, "What are you going to be a fucking hero?" And he goes, "No, I'm just the coffee man." He goes, "I'm not a hero. I'm just a coffee." He was supposed to say coffee store manager, But Tim Roth's character cuts him off before he gets to say that. Really? So he says, "I'm just a coffee man." Cuts him off. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
So, so they just kept it. There was something that, a little fact that was pointed out in one of the articles. I was like, oh shit, this is crazy, right? So that scene then ends with her saying her famous line. Yeah, that's actually been used in music, opening musics. Yeah, really? I forgot. I gotta look that up.
I can believe that. Yeah,
but
that's a good one.
But another thing is, so now we went there. Credits show the scrambling of the radio station. Credit music turns into scrambling of the radio station. Then we got, like I said, these assassins talking about cheeseburgers, like you said.
Good, just great banter that has nothing to do with anything, but they do intertwine it back in.
Yes,
just in a randomly brilliant way.
Because it's something you would do, though. It's something like, okay, if you gave me some nice knowledge, and I just want to be a dick about it, or not dick about it, but just the way that was, okay, imagine if they were a salesman, right? And they were selling something to those guys, right?
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson, to break the ice, would be like, hey, do you know what they call in French? And even though Vince had told him that, Vince would let him deliver that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just, it can be used in any ordinary, but they used it in a murder scene. That was the greatest thing.
That was really good.
So what we're talking about is, in the very beginning, they're in the car, they're driving, they're talking about if they went, he went to Amsterdam, what do they call it? The Royale with cheese, which is hilarious. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, what's he say? What do they call a Whopper? He goes, I don't know. I didn't go to no Burger King. Then they cut, and they cut to them walking up to the apartments where the guys live, where they're going to go do this assassination, kill these guys. They're walking up. They do some small bantering. He's asking them about Marcellus Wallace's wife. He's like, what's all these questions about Marcellus? He goes, the boss is going out of town. He wants me to take care of her. He goes, take care of her? Yeah. He goes, no. Take care, go out, go on a date. He goes, no, it's not a date. He goes, you ever remember Tony Rakahara or whatever he calls him? He goes, yeah, he got thrown out a window. Story is, he gave her a foot massage. And then that's when they get out of the elevator. They're talking more. And he goes, well, I can he goes, yeah, because Samuel L. Jackson is trying to defend Tony by saying, one thing to rub a man's wife's feet, but another thing to throw the man for rubbing your wife's feet out the window.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, he goes, eating pussy and rubbing feet is in the same ballpark. And he goes, wait a minute, he's all blown away. Yeah. I mean, this talk that they're going to, it's 7:33 too, by the way, in the morning. The morning.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. He goes, so eating pussy and rubbing feet are in the same ballpark. And he goes, no, eating pussy and rubbing feet ain't the same thing. He goes, I ain't say it's the same thing. I said it's in the same ballpark. That kind of bantering was great. So they go through the hallway talking.
Well, hold on. Is it?
Let's talk about that.
Is it the same ballpark?
But okay, I would say yeah, because I don't want you rubbing my wife's feet. Unless it's set up. Unless it's a setup, because you'll never. It's really it's yes and no actually. Because here, check out these scenarios. You would never go on a vacation, right? And be like, oh yeah, I made you an appointment to get your pussy ate out.
Well, see, that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't make sense to say one's wife. Let's just say is eating pussy and a foot rub. Just that, not with someone's wife. Just is eating pussy and a foot rub in the same ballpark. Because when you bring in someone's wife...
It's all about context.
Right.
It's all about context. That's the greatest thing about that argument in there. You have so many people on the other side of the fence. Yeah. So many people. It's all in context, like I said.
Yeah.
You're not going to set up a pussy eating, appointment and a foot rub appointment. You know what I mean?
Well, okay. I guess here's a better scenario.
Okay, here's a better scenario. A girl you just met. Okay? And you have 2 appointments. Which one would you set her up? An eating pussy appointment?
No.
Or a foot appointment? You're not going to... Either way, any type of girl you...
Let's preface this by saying, I don't have a wife, he does. So let me pose the questions to him. I think that is a little more relevant. If you found out... it doesn't make sense. I've never heard of anybody saying, I'm going out of town, take my wife out on a date. But let's just say you did that. Let's just say that was... You didn't want your wife alone, ever, for any reason. And you were going out of town, and you're like, Johnny, he has a wife. That makes it even more interesting. Johnny, can you take... And Johnny's wife was gone. So it's...
And she foot rubbed Robin?
And so you came back, and you found out...
It's all in context. Like, okay, like, he gave her a foot rub, and they made it a big deal. And it was like, oh, the best foot rub, and this and that in your face. You're like, oh my, weird. You're like, oh, that's kind of weird. But if they hit it, it's kind of weird. But at the same time, yes, it is kind of that kind of feeling like you're going to slap somebody because why are you, that's, when you have a wife, that's like something you just leave to your husband. You're not going to foot rub me because my husband foot rubs me.
See, and I don't have a wife, but I would feel the same way. And that's why, to me, it's in the same ballpark. Where it has a sexual undertone. And that's what John Travolta brings up, would you give a foot rub to your best friend or a man?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. That brings up an interesting point. Can it simply...
It's all in the same context. would you give me a foot rub if my foot was hurt and we were hiking? You know, you wouldn't rub my
do
feet.
Your fucking hands.
You wouldn't rub my
broken?
feet. That's fucked up. You heard it here. He wouldn't rub my feet if we were hiking.
I would rather get a something to make a sled to put you on, and I just pull you
I
all
think a foot
the way
rub
back.
would be better. I think a foot rub. I think you should rub my feet.
Kill myself.
No, but there you go. You wouldn't rub another guy's foot, no matter what. So what makes it? It leads to things.
Yeah.
You know it does because, like, okay. A guy's gonna think. Yeah, remember how he says, "I got my technique down. I know how not to tickle and everything."
Yeah, would you do that to you, John? Yeah, well, then give me a foot rub, then. You fucking weirdo.
But okay, so no, this whole bantering, right? Yeah. It gets you thinking, and it's great. Simple talk,
and it sets up who they are as characters, who they are as men, what they feel,
yes,
how they feel morally and ethically, and. It was interesting, how they came from different backgrounds, obviously.
And then they're talking more about this, and they're kind of getting mad. And he goes, "Now you're kind of pissing me off. Let's get back into character."
Oh yeah.
And then he's
that was good. That was good.
That was really good.
Let's get back into character.
And then they knock on the door. The dude opens the door. They walk in really slow into the apartment. It's setting up this. Tone of oh shit.
Yeah.
Easy, fellas.
He's all nonchalant.
Relax.
Yeah. Oh.
And then, because it's like, you can cut the tensity in that room.
Yeah, okay, relax. Just shit my pants.
Dude on the couch was the best. He was like,
oh, yeah.
Oh, shit. And then he puts his leg up for him like that.
That's insane.
That was like, oh, my God. I like how Vincent's character walks straight in, doesn't say nothing to nobody. And he just goes and starts rolling himself a cigarette and makes himself feel comfortable.
That's creepy.
That's so creepy. Is they set the tone of how comfortable they are at killing people. Yeah.
We'll just walk into your place.
Yeah, we don't give a fuck.
Never been here before.
Now, this is we're doing our podcast and everything. And I forgot where I seen this, but they were talking about that briefcase now. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They went there for something that belonged to Marcellus Wallace.
Right. Yeah, that's where it gets weird.
They ask him, "Hey, where is it at?" Mm-hmm. Lamar's character starts opening. It's over there. And he's like, "Shut the hell up." I mean, the way he delivers this, he just punks everybody. Everybody. So he walks through there. Yeah. He asks that guy, and he goes, "You were saying?" Vincent finds the briefcase, opens it up, boom, it's glowing. They leave it there. Nobody knows. Yep. Nobody, and then there's all kinds of theories of what's in that briefcase. Okay? The most interesting theory was Marcellus's soul. That's I heard that one too. Well presented because the characters that get assassinated are demons who have taken the soul with all great intentions, and they're there to kill them all, and those assassins are being protected by God. Mm-hmm. And by him saying that passage, he's delivering the last blow to Satan's demons. And then they killed everybody.
Why they missed.
That's why the halo's over their head.
Oh, and the lighting. Super interesting things.
I really like that.
And it's even weirder because it's Quentin. You think, is he religious?
Yeah.
You think he's the opposite. But
yes.
He really seems to have a religious undertone.
So I mean, but it's so good how they bring all this into this scene, how this could be. Others say it's yellow cake. Others say it's gold. Yeah. But gold is the least. Would have been
so 600 pounds.
Yeah.
600 pounds. And he's just like,
it would have been.
Boom! No, not gold.
So it's not gold. Cake. Yellow cake, it could have been, because they said yellow cake does not emit enough radiology.
Glow.
But
diamonds made a little bit more sense.
But they said it would glow if it had like a liner.
Well, that's what they said for the diamonds.
But if it were yellow diamond, that's right. I don't know. Maybe cake just sends off a radiation glow.
I like the soul.
I love the soul one. But being in the industry and saying, "Hey, seen how film's been made behind the scenes. We've actually seen how to make a script read more easier. You just leave things to the mind. It just kind of messes with people more. Kind of leaves it. And I like Quentin Tarantino was on. Oh gosh, why can't I think of him? Tall guy, great show.
Conan?
No, he has long hair. Why can't I think of him?
Long hair.
Wow, why can't I think of it? Howard Stern. Why cannot I think of Howard Stern?
Oh,
Howard Stern. He was on Howard Stern. He was talking to him, and he asked him, was it his soul in that briefcase? And he's like, actually, when we wrote it, we left it open. And this is the most believable because I really think it makes the script really, really easy to follow through with every scene and how he took it out of order. Is he left it open and it could be anything you think because you're willing to. These guys are willing to kill all these people. And of course, they're assassins, but the way it played out, and then you never find out because at the end of the movie, the briefcase still with Samuel L. Jackson at the end of the movie. But at the beginning, even in the middle, when he goes and delivers it, he just has it with him at the bar. That's it. At the bar, it stays, and you never see it. That's why they're like, okay, that was Marcellus Wallace. But I think it was that great transitioning of how everything it interlocked everybody and everything. You know what I mean? And you really didn't know, like, what it was. So it wasn't really something like you're like, oh crap, why would it even matter to this guy? Or why would this guy even give a fuck about it? You can't pick it apart.
Yeah.
And that's what I really liked about it. But if I had an alternative, it'd be the soul one. The soul one was good.
Yeah.
And in that scene with the lighting on his hair and that's just lighting. They do that. It's really good. I like it. I don't think it's their halos. I just think it's a halo lit to emphasize those characters at that moment.
Yeah, either way.
So you got that scene, and then from that scene we go to the next scene, which is
what is the next scene? Is it Christopher Walken?
No. It's what am I call it? It's Vincent Vega taking out Uma Thurman's character.
Oh, is that the next scene? Okay.
Yeah, that's the next scene. So
he's going. Is it not? When does Christopher Walken come in?
After that, because this scene is where he goes and picks up the heroin, does a little bit of the heroin, picks her up. They go to the restaurant, and then they come back. She ODs. He does all that, and then it goes to...
No, it was prior, because... Oh!
No, because then it goes... Who
forgets the watch?
The lady. She forgets. That's towards the end.
Oh, shit. Was that towards
because
the end?
In that scene, John Travolta dies. Remember, he kills John... Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to Italy. My buddy doesn't remember the movie. No. But anyways, so the next scene is Vincent Vega and Uma Thurman's character.
Okay.
What's her name in that movie?
Mia.
Okay, so Mia is very standoffish first and is kind of playing Vincent Vega because she kind of knows that they're all, afraid of Marcellus Wallace and she has the power over him. So she's like, okay, let's go. She's like, you're going to take me out. And then, so they go. Well, the very first thing is they go, he goes and meets his drug dealer buddy. Right. And he buys heroin. And he buys a big stash of heroin.
The best.
And the best of the best. And he goes, remember, I just came from Amsterdam. He goes, I'll take a Coca-Cola challenge against them.
Yeah,
and he goes,
that was good,
as a matter of fact, I'll give you some of my own private personal stash. He gives him out his and he goes, can I shoot it Pure? He goes, mi casa, su casa. So he shoots up. Great scene, though. Great. The burning, everything, how they do the videography for that with the needle, everything, the shooting. I mean, I don't...
It was fucked up.
I don't, condone that, but it was a great shot. Yeah. The way he did everything was awesome. Yeah. Then he did that with, so he did that scene, boom. Then it goes from there, he's driving in the car, feeling himself. He's feeling good.
Oh, yeah, and then he gets to the house.
He gets to the house, he's all just,
walk,
he goes, makes himself a drink, he's like...
Intercom.
Scared of the end. What the fuck is that? I would too, though. Even high as fuck.
Yeah.
If I was high as fuck and I went into someone's house,
it's God.
The voice of
that
God.
might have been a metaphor.
Oh yeah.
This is God talking to you. Make
See?
a drink.
The soul. Make a drink. Make a drink. You just got Marcella's soul back.
Okay, that's right.
So,
let's think about that whole scene from the beginning. He comes up, there's a note on the door, says, I'm getting dressed, right? Okay, let's think about that. Let's just say she knew exactly when he was coming there.
Uh-huh.
So 5 minutes, she's like, oh shit, I still gotta get dressed. Let me write a note, because I only have 5 minutes left. Or 2 minutes. Let's just say she cut it that close, 2 minutes. She's running upstairs. He gets there. She's still not dressed, for whatever reason. Talking on the intercom, I just gotta get dressed. What the fuck? How does it take you that fucking long? It was such a, obviously she's trying to come down and seduce or whatever.
It plays into she has the power. She's Marcellus Wallace's wife, and she can play him like that.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved about that. It's like, who's going to leave a note?
Exactly.
Come on in.
I'm getting dressed.
Come on in. I'm getting dressed. Imagine me naked right when you walk in. Just imagine me just right naked.
Exactly.
Right there, So you do have.
You're right.
So it's the power.
She is absolutely.
And he just heard that Tony got thrown out of a damn window for rubbing her feet.
Yeah.
Let alone him having thoughts of that. So he believes that.
Yep.
So he's playing it Mr. Cool, and then they go to this amazing place to eat at a restaurant. Jack Square.
That's the only set they built, apparently.
Jack Square Slim or something like that?
I think that is what it's called. I didn't write it down.
Is that the set they built? They built that set?
That's like the only set. Everything else was...
my gosh. That is so dope. I loved it. I love the chairs were the cars. Mm-hmm. I love that they had the actors all look-alike actors.
Yep.
Did you notice who played their waiter?
Well, I didn't until I read all the stuff. Steve Buscemi. I'm like, oh shit! What the hell? How did I miss that? Before he was even
known.
So he won an award for that. Oh no, wait.
He did. I think he was in that one, and he was in that one, and oh god,
Fargo?
No. Billy Madison.
Holy shit!
Billy Madison. He was the weirdo.
Oh,
and he goes, hey. He goes. Billy Madison for some reason picks up the phone and just apologizes. Oh, he went to high school and he was getting bullied. Uh-huh. And he goes, oh, that sucks. So he called all the people he bullied. And then he calls him. He calls him and he goes, hey, just want to call and say sorry for being. He goes, I didn't even think about that. Don't worry about it. And he hangs up with them. And what was the character we were just talking about? Steve Buscemi's character. He hangs up the phone, looks over. He has Billy Madison's name. He crosses it off for people to kill. It says Billy Madison. He crosses it off.
Oh shit!
And then he ends up putting makeup on or lipstick on, and he lays down.
Oh my god!
Funniest scene in Billy Madison. One of the funniest scenes he does in Billy Madison.
Was he still unknown in that?
I think he was. I think that was close to the time. And he plays in this scene as just a waiter, and he asked her. The way Quentin Tarantino writes the dialogue, I don't know if you picked this up, but when he asked her if she wanted the milkshake, he asked her, "Did you want a vanilla milkshake, or did you want a chocolate milkshake?" By saying, "Do you want a Lewis?" And he called it a Lewis, a Martin and Lewis, or a Amos and Andy. They were both famous comedians. One was a black duo, and one was a white duo. So he's basically asking her, and I was like, dude, that's so cool. Just the writing he did and thinking of that. But the movie takes a lot of, man, I forgot to write this down, but the movie takes a lot. Quentin Tarantino even says this, from movies and fiction books from the 1950s that he read.
The Pulp magazines?
Pulp magazines, yep.
I had no idea what that was before.
Me neither. I didn't even know that, too. So he was reading those, and he was taking little cues. Like, you said, oh, what about the watch scene? Where he wakes up, ding, ding.
Yeah.
And he has that whole suit. That's exactly an exact replica from a story out of Pulp. So he used it. He correlates it. So back to what we were saying. We got off track. Now they're at Jackson Square. They're eating. They have that small little banter. He asks her about Tony. She's like, "You guys are worse than girls." She goes, "Do you really think Marcellus Wallace threw Tony out of a window?" He goes, "Not what I think. It's what really happened." And she's like, "No." And then so he kind of feels better. And then he asked if he can have a sip of milkshake, and they sip the milkshake.
Want to taste what a $5
milkshake tastes like. And then from there, now his guard is completely dropped. He feels good around her. They're talking, and all of a sudden, he goes, "We're gonna dance." She's like, "We're gonna dance." He goes, "I'm not dancing." And it's funny how I don't know if this was done on purpose. If Vincent Vega, because he's John Travolta, Mr. Saturday Night Fever, if because of that, they go, "Oh, we're gonna put a dance scene in for him."
Oh, the article mentioned that.
Did it?
I don't remember though.
Because
all I remember was that Uma, which seems really weird, she was really reticent about doing it because she didn't think she was a good dancer. She didn't know much about dancing. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking, you look pretty natural. Mm-hmm. Both of them look pretty natural. I mean, the dancing looks ridiculous. I hate that type of dancing. But
if you look behind the scenes, if you see behind the scenes, I looked some up, and you can see Quentin Tarantino dancing too. He's dancing.
I did hear about what he did. He was on the dance floor with his handheld camera, and he taught them like 3 or 4 dance moves. The Batman, something like the famous ones at the time, and they would be dancing, and he would just yell out, to switch to the new dance move. Yeah, and he would just yell at the dance move.
Yeah,
that was pretty weird.
And that's so fun. And so they have this great scene. They make a great time. He drops his guard, and then they're feeling each other. And this is the whole seducing him with that note in the beginning, and then she made him drop his guard, and he's liking her, and now she's teasing him. They go back, and he goes, "I gotta pee," and she goes, "That's too much information." He goes, "Oh," and then he walks off, and then back to, remember how I said earlier, the mess up where she sits down on the couch. That's where she sits down on the couch. I didn't notice that. And the music choice. I love the music choice they used for that.
Oh yeah, that was I did take notice of that. That was interesting soundtrack she put on.
Preacher Man, Son of a Preacher Man.
Oh yeah.
You see, because now here's another cool thing is that movie came out in '94, right? In '92, '93, Cypress Hill came out with Hits from the Bong. I believe. I could be wrong. But they come out with that song, Hits from the Bong. And so I hear that I heard that, the rhythm and the sample they use. Yeah. So when I hear her play that song, I'm like, "Oh, they're playing Cypress Hill on this? What the fuck?" And it's that's weird. And then it turns into the actual song.
Yeah. That would have been weird.
Yeah, right? To use a new contemporary music with an old school looking.
Can we overdub? Can we?
We probably could. We probably could make it.
Trouble.
Stay tuned for that. No,
yeah. No, seriously. I mean, that could be part of our channel.
But so she picks that song. Yeah. She sits down. She's having a good time. She lights up her cigarette, which I said. She sits down. She has a jacket on. They cut to him. He's inside the bathroom, contemplating whether if he's gonna leave or which he needs to leave. Yeah. And then or sit down. And then it goes back to her. She's lighting the cigarette. No jacket on. Then it goes back to him, and he's looking in the mirror again. Then it goes back to her, finding the treat, gonna about do it. Goes back to him, and he's telling himself he's going home. Mm-hmm. He's gonna jerk off, and that's it. He goes, maybe have a drink with her. That's it. Mm-hmm. So he walks out. He's told himself this. He's rehearsed, and he's about to tell her that. He's about to tell her. And he finds her OD'd on the ground from uncut.
Do you know what it was in her mouth to make it look like she was?
Wasn't it marshmallow?
Close. Starts with an M.
What?
Mushroom soup.
Oh, to make it look all nasty like that?
Mm-hmm. And her eyes. Do you know how they did her eyes?
No.
She did it herself.
What'd she do?
Just by acting. Just kind of, making her eyes glaze over. I can't remember whether she was staring or she made herself cry or, basically gave her the stoner eyes.
Oh, man. She's crazy, dude.
She was good.
That was
really good. Oh, and do you know what they actually had her snort?
No. What
they actually had her snort something, apparently.
What was it?
Which I thought they would somehow make it just look like it, but apparently she actually had to snort sugar. She said it burned like hell. I'm like, what the fuck? And then for the heroin, she thinks it was probably brown sugar at that point. That's brutal. How would they not make it look like it? How could they not do something?
That's because you don't got the money.
At 94.
You don't got the money either.
$8.5 million!
Yeah, but do you know how much it took for those big-ass lights? Those overpowering lights he probably had to get? That was probably the 8 and the 0.1.
I know, right? Jesus. Shit.
But, okay, so she ODs, decides to take her to the drug dealer's house.
Yeah.
Like,
he wasn't happy about that.
The funniest thing is how he's eating a bowl of, like, he lives a completely slop. Robe, house just hoardered-fied, just enough room to walk places. He's sitting, eating cereal.
Yeah.
His wife's asleep. Some random lady sitting there, her friend. Yeah. It's her friend, but she's just there chilling, watching TV. He's eating a bowl of cereal. The phone's ringing like 15 times until he decides to stand up.
The phone's ringing. I can hear it.
He's like, I thought you told him that. And he goes, I'm going to tell this asshole the same thing. And he gets the phone. And imagine that. It's so great because that's what you do. There's nothing special going on at your house. He's not a big-time drug dealer that has everybody there and he kicks everybody out. It's just normal, real-life shit. Your drug dealer doesn't live a fucking high life. That's it right there. Yeah. And that was so great. And then he gets up nonchalantly. Yeah. He's watching TV. It's the middle of the night. And boom, you get a phone call. Don't bring her here. Hello, prank caller, because he thinks they're being tapped and shit. That was the best. Was good. And then he hangs up on him. And then the car comes blaring in. Again. Boom.
Didn't bring the attention of the cops? How did nothing happen?
And the
crashed into a house.
I would have walked out of my house. I would have been like, who in the fuck is
this? He was screaming at him.
Yeah. He goes...
I guarantee you would hear that for at least a quarter mile.
Dude. And then they come in, he's like, if you let her die, I'm forced to tell Marcellus Wallace. And then they all got scared. Yeah. And they all start working. Okay, the craziest thing we didn't talk about was the car. That car right there. Mm-hmm. What I heard, or I read somewhere, that Bruce Willis was the one who keyed John Travolta's red car. Bruce Willis's character keyed John Travolta's red car. And it's not said in the movie, but that's what makes him, like, when he says, some asshole keyed my car. Oh. It was because it was in the parking lot, and as Bruce Willis walked out of the bar, keyed his car. Oh, really? That's what they're saying, right? So, the car he's driving in this thing is actually Quentin Tarantino's car. Mm-hmm. And it got stolen because they parked it on the outside of the fucking...
It got stolen?
Yeah, it got stolen. Then, like, years later, cops found, like, these two 18-year-old kids chopping it up. Oh, shit. And when they ran the VIN numbers, it turned out to be Quentin Tarantino's car. The guy who bought the car to get it chopped up did not know and was like, fuck it.
Whoa.
Yeah, right? Is that crazy? So that car wrecks into the guy's house, right? He's like, oh my God, what the hell are you doing here? He's told this Marcellus Wallace lady, and they have to... So they're going to give her a shot of adrenaline to the heart is what they come up with to get her out of this OD state. So he's panicking, and he's like, let me find my medical black book. Oh, yeah. And the wife's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Finally gets out of the bed. This whole drama thing's happening, and she's still laying in bed. Then she finally gets up out of the bed. They're yelling at each other, trying to find this medical black book, while John Travolta has Mia, played by Irma Thurman, on the ground, dying in OD, and he's like, hurry the fuck up. The small little banter right there, okay? So he has her laying down. He's like, okay, you're going to hit her in her heart. Let me go get my medical book. He's like, hurry the fuck up. He goes, okay, I gotta find my medical book. Well, go. If you stop talking to me, I can go. I'm not talking to you. Fucking just shut up and go. Fucking go. And they walk. Yeah. That is amazing. Because that is, I mean, dude, that is actual just like fucking, your adrenaline's pumping. You don't know what you're doing. You're just telling people, hurry the fuck up. Every second matters. Yeah. And you're just yelling. And that is so amazing. So he finally just says, fuck it. He can't find the black book. He comes back to John Travolta. He gets the thing. He gives it to John Travolta. He says, do it. He goes, no, you fucking do it. He goes, the day I bring an ODing bitch to your house, I'll fucking give her the shot. You have to give her the shot.
That's fair.
They have the shot up in the air. It's dripping, dramatic. Boom! Right into her chest. She pops out of it. She's, oh my God. Did you know they actually shot that in reverse?
Really?
Yes. So the moment that he plunges into her is shot in reverse. So to make it look more, he has to pull it out with a lot of force.
Whoa.
So he pulls out with a lot of force, and that's how they shot it. So when they play it, it looks hecka fast. And it's crazy. I was like, oh, that's pretty okay. I can see that because it's easier to, I guess, instead of
knife.
You know. But it shows the
knife.
Needle.
Yeah.
So that was pretty crazy. That's a little camera trick for people that, want to do stuff. You could record.
I know. I always wonder how they do some
stabbings in reverse, so it makes it look. You can do it real fast, so it makes it look. When you go reverse really fast when they stab you. I'm sorry. But so okay, now we're here at the scene. She's revived. She seduced him, made him drop his guard, and made him kind of like her, find some chemistry with her. Then she has to be saved by him, not because she's just some girl ODing, because his life fucking depends on it. He has to save her. So he saves her. Now her guard is dropped. Now she looks at him a different way. So at the end, remember when they're at the Jack Square Slim or Jack Slim Square, wherever that place is, and she goes, oh, I was a part of a pilot movie, and that was the joke, and they talked too much about the joke. She didn't want to say it because remember, so she never told him the joke because that was her barrier being up and not letting him in. So at the end, she drops her barrier and she tells him the joke.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, I'm probably too stunned or whatever he says to laugh. And then
it's not funny anyways.
And then she goes, yeah, don't worry, it's not funny anyways. She tells him the joke, and then that's how they leave off.
Right.
They have some kind of force there, and nothing else happens. Nothing else happens. Mm-hmm. They've been they're that's it. Then from that scene, then it goes to the Bruce Willis scene. Bing, bing. He wakes up.
Yeah.
He throws the fight.
Mm-hmm.
And then.
Well, I thought when they were talking about throwing the fight that he was supposed to go down in the fifth, and then all of a sudden, after the fight, it's he killed somebody.
Well, you don't get it. He was supposed to go on the fifth, and he was never going to throw the fight. He just took the money, still got the chance, because he never got a championship belt.
Mm-hmm.
And so he wanted to win the championship belt. So he beat the guy up, and that's why he threw his clothes out, and he jumped out and jumped into the cab, and then booked it. And then they were looking for him, and that whole 9 yards. That's because he cut out on that. Because then it shows. Remember, it shows the scene where because the Vincent Vega taking Mia out starts with them showing up to the bar in the fucked up clothes, and Bruce Willis talking to Marcellus Wallace.
Mm-hmm.
Him
staring down,
and then him and John Travolta meeting at the bar and talking. That's why you get that talk, because that's when he's gonna take him out, and then he's like, Vincent Vega, and then he calls Vincent Vega over and he talks to him. Then from there, it goes to him picking up Mia. So we got. So they already set that up that he was supposed to throw the fight. He goes, he jumps in, and now I liked how they filmed the scene with him jumping into the taxi cab, jumping into it, and they have that little small talk about him killing. She's like, I've never seen.
I thought that was weird as hell.
Right? It's just so.
I'm like, who? What?
Why is this here?
I don't take many taxi rides, but are taxi cab drivers that fucking nosy? So I'd be like, mind your fucking business, bitch.
But
yeah, I killed somebody, bitch.
All crazy.
You want to see what it feels like? You want to know what it's fucking like? Oh, bitch.
All crazy. It turns all crazy. See, then you
just killed somebody.
Yeah.
But would you ask them?
But he didn't know that. He didn't know that. Remember that?
But she did. And then for him to find out. You ever heard of the term kill the messenger?
Yeah. But
she's the fucking messenger.
Yeah, you're reaching and jumping now because his character is not that. His character's different. His character is getting the heck out of Dodge, getting with this lady and leaving. That's why that made that banter so cool. Is like this lady had nothing to do with the story or the movie. She was just a character in there, and it transitioned him of why he did that or what just happened. Him waking up, jumping out. We're like, what the hell? I'm lost. And then them explaining it. Okay, let's start all over. John Travolta. Okay, John Travolta is cool. He's the coolest.
No. We're talking about.
No, we're talking about Bruce the scene, Bruce Willis scene, where we're talking about the next scene after Mia and John Travolta going on their date, which comes to Bruce Willis scene, where he wakes up and he just jumps into this taxi cab, which I think was a great transitioning instead of it be a big scene with the big ring and then boxing of them explaining what happened. He's worried about all he's thinking about is getting home, getting the hell out of town. He's dressing and she's asking him, oh, how does it feel to kill someone? The guy died. And he goes, oh, I wouldn't know. And he's like, if you give me one of those cigarettes, I'll tell you. And then he gets the cigarette. He starts talking to her, and they talk about it. Now, you were saying you were going to play devil's advocate on that.
Yeah, I'm saying it's almost comes across as the equivalent of when bad writers get referenced when actors explain things instead of acting them out. So they set things up by blatantly explaining. He didn't do that. It wasn't blatant. It was a really interesting way because she was listening to the radio and the fight just ended. They were talking about the fight, talking about how the fighter just passed away, and look who pops in. It's the fighter. So it's not far-fetched, and it's not shitty writing by any stretch. But it would have been interesting to see the movie having that acted out instead of just talked out.
Yeah.
But it makes a whole different dynamic because it brings her in.
It does. And look at how the movie's been going. Pop, 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 pop. And then that just pops in. That's just a little thing that's pop. And it's out of the ordinary. Right? Mm-hmm. And you're like, I would have wanted to know more about her. I wish she would have somehow mysteriously came in or something, But then you have that scene and it goes into him going to the hotel where he meets up his girlfriend who
she forgets the watch.
She cleared out the apartment and she forgets the watch, which he then goes to sleep and he has a dream about it.
Okay, this is a perfect time to interject this. With him freaking out about the watch, remember? He's okay, he's in the car with a stupid fucking bitch.
He's like, the only thing you could have done was...
Do you know who Quentin originally promised that role to?
Who?
And can you imagine it being this guy over Bruce Willis? One of the most famous actors ever.
Who?
I don't know how big he was at that time, but... Oh, hold on. I keep misreading the last name. I keep thinking it says Damon. That was Matt Damon. It's not Matt Damon.
Matt Dillon.
Matt Dillon.
Okay.
Matt Dillon, who's still... Matt Damon would have been really weird for me to... I can't picture him as a murderous, badass, don't give a shit boxer. Matt Dillon, that's a different story. I could definitely see him. He's really good at that. Anyway, Matt Damon would have been fucking weird. So Matt Dillon, he literally promised the role to Matt Dillon. Gave the script. Matt read it, said, "I love it. Let me sleep on it." Don't fucking say that to Quentin Tarantino. At that point, he's a bit full of himself, it seems, because of Reservoir Dogs, and he's already got this guy. He's got Bruce Willis, who wants to sign on, but he's just trying to find a role for him. So he's like, I can, nobody should be even second guessing. If I hand them the script, they should be saying yes on the spot. Yes. So the fact that he said, let me sleep on it, that meant no to Quentin. Oh. So literally, right after he said that, he
just got Bruce Willis.
Quentin said he's out and got Bruce, yeah.
Now, you were saying Bruce Willis wanted to play another role.
Oh, yeah, he wanted Vincent Vega.
Okay, just like
but already had Travolta.
Do you know Will Smith was going to be in the Django?
Really?
But
that would have been weird.
He wanted the role of the dentist.
No.
Yeah, I believe so, because that's who was going to play Django was Will Smith, and he turned it down. Jamie Foxx picked it up.
Okay.
And Will Smith, I'd rather play the dentist in this. And he goes, you can't play the dentist because it doesn't work.
As good as you are, Will Smith.
No, wait, right. So
you cannot touch.
So that's the same thing with Bruce Willis. I think Bruce Willis wouldn't have did a John Travolta job.
Yeah, that's another interesting point.
I like that because it was made for John Travolta, that weirdness that he brought to it and the zoned outness that he brings to it, and then it made his career after that. I mean, it was meant for him, that role. I can't see. But then again, if it was delivered that way, it'd probably be a different talk.
Well, that brings up another interesting point because Harvey Weinstein was adamant against Travolta. Again, he approved everything that Quentin
was doing.
Said, demanded. Mm-hmm. He wanted the final draft of the script, final say of the actors, etc., etc. But he said no to Travolta. But they did that hardcore negotiating. We got people waiting. If you don't want the deal, if you don't want it with Travolta, we're fucking out. You have 15 seconds. 15, 14. Harvey goes, okay, fuck it. And that was it. That's how they got. But that brings up an interesting point. Okay, so here's put up some interesting graphics.
Interesting graphics.
Matt Dillon versus Bruce Willis for the Butch character. Boom. John Travolta versus Bruce Willis for Vincent Vega. That makes a huge difference for the story. That would have... It would have still been great. Bruce, I think, could have pulled that role off, but... Travolta is so unique,
man. It's just one of those things that, like, okay, let's look at it. Bruce Willis would have killed it. He's a fucking killer.
Anything, yeah.
He would have killed it as Vincent Vega. He would have been very quiet. That's his demeanor. He could be very, but he just came from doing Die Hard.
Yeah, badass.
He would have been more of a Jules role.
Yeah.
The more of the lead role, the more the badass, not the sit back, But it would have been a great twist, though. Him just coming off of Die Hard and then going to this and then him being a very non-talkative, very calm guy. But I don't think he would have pulled the Uma Thurman scene.
The dancing
and all that stuff off.
That would have been so weird.
Right?
That's really weird.
That would have been different. That would have been different. Or like we said earlier, was that thrown in because of John Travolta? Was that scene thrown in because of him? And it would have been a different type of dinner if it was Bruce Willis.
Would have been really weird.
Oh, so these are crazy.
Oh, hold up. We forgot to even go into who Harvey Weinstein wanted instead of Travolta.
Who?
So he's like, I approve everything, but not Travolta. He's like, I can get Daniel Day-Lewis, which I don't know what he had done up at that point, because now he's fucking huge from all the incredible things he's done now, but back then, I don't know if he was big. Anyway, Daniel Day-Lewis, incredible. Sean Penn?
Ooh, Sean Penn.
That's gnarly. That would okay. So there you go again.
But then again, I don't see. Those actors are great. They would have brought great character. They would have brought great demeanor. Sean Penn. Oh, great. With that hairdo, too. The long hairdo. He could have pulled that off.
Oh. Who looked like Geddy Lee from Rush. What the fuck?
But, okay, so we...
Is he a doppelganger of him?
So, okay, and it's crazy how the pay cut. We didn't even talk about that.
Yeah.
Bruce Willis... Whoa, he got paid $5 million. You said
$5 million for Die Hard. Right before,
and then he gets a pay.
So the way Quentin worked this out with the budget he had, and to get these actors on board,
it was $20,000 an hour.
They made it so it was like a collective pool for all the main actors, so they all got paid the same.
Yes,
which, if in nowadays would be insane.
But he also gave him the points at the end. Mm-hmm. He said, "Hey, let's do it like this." And I mean, he sold them. He's like, dude, and he read the script to them, and they loved it when he read the script. What was crazy about John Travolta when you were saying, oh, you know, they got... did you know that when he went to go meet Quentin Tarantino told him, hey, come over to my apartment so I can read you the script. John Travolta shows up.
Starts criticizing his apartment? Well, no. Pointing things out about his apartment.
Yeah, because it used to be John Travolta's apartment.
That's right.
It used to be his apartment.
Yeah.
So,
I forgot about that.
Do you think it was like a setup? Like, he goes, I'm going to go find John Travolta's old apartment, tell him to come over, have some nostalgic moment with him, and be like, hey, he sold on this? Or was that cool that just happened?
No.
And he liked that.
He did say he wrote the role specifically for him, but I think that would have to be serendipity for him to just... because otherwise, he wanted John Travolta in that movie so bad to go to that lengths to get him into it, especially when he's apparently on his down slope. And,
that was another great
his family was pushing him for him to do this role. Even his kids, I'm like, damn, a heroin using assassin.
Crazy, anyway, right?
But again, so that brings up such an interesting point. You got John Travolta, the guy who got it, versus Bruce Willis, who wanted it.
And versus the other actors,
Sean Penn and Daniel Day-Lewis, who could have gotten it.
That execs wanted. The execs wanted.
Exactly.
And then it goes to show when you really push for your idea and your view, if you feel like you have that solid view, I mean, it's all going to come out looking amazing or it's all going to flop, So it's one of those things that you all get behind and you fucking hit it. And, dude, so the scene is he goes... Bruce Willis is in the taxi cab, gets dropped off to his motel, meets up his lady his girlfriend who was supposed to clear out the apartment and grab his watch. Now, this isn't said right away. What happens is they have fun. He take a shower. He passes out. Then he dreams about the watch, about when he was a kid and... the army general comes or the army colonel comes and talks to him. Played by Christopher Walken.
One of the funniest scenes ever.
Once again, the wording they use, the explicitness of how he talks to that kid, and the way of the realm of how it's going over his head is amazing.
It's so funny.
It's two characters that are so disconnected from each other talking, and one talking to that character way overhead. You got this colonel who shows up to talk to a little kid about how they had to survive in the Philippines with a hunk of metal up his asshole.
For 5 years.
And then after that,
passed it on to him.
Then he stuck it in his asshole.
For 2 years or something.
For 2 years. And he says, remember how I was like earlier, I was like, I like how he throws it in to make the character, the wording that someone would really use, not to be politically correct. Earlier, Tim Roth said he goes, who's going to save this place? Some wetback busboy? This one, he's like, the hunk.
Right? Yeah.
he shoved it. The reason he shoved it up his asshole, because he wasn't getting let no damn gook's hands on this. Is how he says it. That made me laugh. I was like, what? Yeah. That's why you shoved it up your asshole?
Yeah. That was fucked up.
Finally, and then he goes, now it's yours. You know what I mean? And I'm doing my Christopher Walken voice, you know. Walken.
Now, so an incredibly long speech, right?
Yes.
A monologue, I guess you could call it.
For a hunk of metal who's has traveled in an anus.
You know, him, okay, so, but that was just, you know, Christopher Walken talking for one long stretch of time.
Yeah.
It ended up that took a while to film, to the point where the kid, it got late into the night. It was just like Quentin, the kid, and then the film crew, and like everybody else had left. The kid started falling asleep, so they let the kid go, and Christopher just started doing it to the camera.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you get that, you know, one-on-one eye-to-eye thing. But so here's a weird...
which is so dope. I love that.
That is a good little, yeah. But so what... Do you know what he actually does? So during that long speech, his mouth didn't dry up. Do you know his little movie trick?
Nuh-uh.
Actor trick? You either take some Tabasco or a bite of lemon. And it'll just make you, you know, all salivate.
Wow.
I'm like, that's fucking... But he had to do that for that speech because it was so long.
See, my wife does voiceovers, and she's been noticing that her tongue hits a lot. Like you can hear that when she talks. Yeah. I'm gonna have her do that. I'm gonna have her hit a line. That's a good one. That is really good. So okay, they have that long speech, right? And then you have the long speech. Then you cut to him waking up again. Bruce Willis wakes up. And he wakes up to a military movie. And he's like, isn't it too early to be watching that? Right. And then he gets ready. And she's like, oh, I feel like pancakes. And he goes, oh, that's good. And then all of a sudden, he's like, where's my watch? And then it blows up from there. And then he goes, it's not your fault, not your fault, not your fault. And then he goes, I'm going to have to go back to the apartment. And then that's when he blows up. Like you said, can you imagine someone else? And you thought it was Matt Damon. That would have been hilarious. I can see him pulling it off, though. That being mad like that. But yeah, at that age, back in 94, 94, you know, that could have been before different. He's known.
Well, all that matters for me is it's before Team America. I cannot take him seriously ever. Matt Damon. It's so unfair to him. And I shouldn't be projecting that upon him, but South Park guys did such a good job making fun of him. That's all I can think about when I think of Matt Damon. He's not stupid at all.
He's great actor. But okay, so now we have the fact that he's taking off back to his apartment where he left, and now he's in big shit because he just didn't throw a fight. He actually won the fight and kept the money. So now he's being looked after by Marcellus Wallace. The day after he was supposed to throw a fight, he goes back to his hotel. Or back to his apartment. I'm sorry. Back to his apartment. Finds his watch. Then realize nobody's his home. Realize no one's there, right? In his head, he thinks no one's there. Then he's like, okay. Grabs his watch. Goes in the kitchen. Grabs a Pop-Tart. Throws it in. Puts it down. Looks over and notices Uzi there. Mm-hmm. He's like, what the hell? So he grabs it, he picks it up, and then all of a sudden comes out the door. John Travolta, Vincent Vega, comes walking out, who was sitting there, who he caught taking a dump in his bathroom, was supposed to kill him, but then ends up getting killed by Bruce Willis. I thought that was dope. Yeah. That turnaround of event was sick. I feel bad for Vincent Vega because I really liked him in the movie. I was like, oh, they killed this dude. But you're like, oh, that's sick. That is sick.
Actually, people in the comments on those like what's in the briefcase type things, they pointed out some interesting things. Like, you know, you might think, why would he have been in the bathroom for that long enough for him to sneak in, get his watch, go to the kitchen, get a Pop-Tart? But the people talking about pointing some like issues out, like with the heroin use or something like that. They talk about, well, heroin does make you constipated, so that would explain why he's always in the bathroom and he's in the bathroom for a long time. Etc. I'm like, okay, all right.
And he had that book. He had the book. There was a book. He could have been reading a book, stuff like that.
But you know that makes sense why you would be in there for so long. You're forced to be in there as opposed to because if you're reading and then you hear something. As opposed to if you're like, oh, fuck, get it out, oh, shit. You know, you got to...
And maybe he didn't hear him. Maybe he didn't hear him at all, too. You know what I mean? He was
It
so
would seem
comfortable.
like it, exactly.
He was so comfortable, and he's just like, nobody's here. You know, it's,
yeah, you wouldn't come
like,
out
I mean, because seriously, if your job was to go and sit at the guy's house, you're like, great, I'm going to just watch TV all day. What's the chances of this idiot coming back to his house? I'm going to kill him right away then. Yeah. You know? So that kind of gives it more of that. But then again, yeah, why would you be taking a shit that long and, you know, get shot and you got killed? Boom, you got killed. That was great. The best thing was he was feeling great about himself. Fucking killed Vincent Vega. That's how you take care of things, he was saying. He was driving. Boom. Then it takes another twist, the movie. He's at the stop sign. Who does he see? Walking across the street with donuts. Marcellus Wallace.
That was a funny scene, too.
Yeah. He pulls the gun out on him. And then he runs him over.
Yeah.
And then, what's her name? Kathy Griffin.
Oh, yeah, Kathy Griffin.
Yeah, she's in the movie.
That was weird.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
She goes, I'll testify. I seen everything. And all of a sudden, he pulls the gun out and they all run. And then those two ladies helping him, one gets shot.
Oh, yeah, that was fucked up.
I know that's fucked up, but I don't know why I was laughing.
It was funny. It was. Especially her yelp.
Right?
Okay, let's genuinely take some time to talk about Marcellus Wallace, because the story behind that is fucking fascinating, and it's a really interesting and controversial topic.
Okay.
Because Ving Rhames, the guy who ended up getting the role, wasn't the original guy. Who was the original guy? It was a guy called Max Juliu.
I don't know that guy.
I had to look him up. He was in some older blaxploitation. That's not right. A blaxploitation movie. This is fucking weird. Old movie.
All comments go to Corey.
We're back. We're fucking high, and we're back.
I like that. Yeah, welcome back. I don't know if you noticed, but we took a smoke break.
3 hours later.
Yeah.
We're back. We're talking about Marcellus, though.
Okay, yeah. We left off. Well, we didn't leave off. We're
right in the middle.
We're right in the middle of him walking away of the accident. He got hit by Bruce Willis. Then they fades to black. Comes back to him coming to. Yeah. Bruce Willis coming out of the car. He pulls the gun out, starts shooting towards Bruce Willis' direction. We laughed about that earlier. And then, so now they're on that chase. You said, stop. Let's talk about Marcellus Wallace's character.
Yeah. So, Ving Rhames is who ended up getting the role. But according to that Vanity Fair article, he was not the original. It was originally for an actor named Max Juliu.
Max Juliu.
So he was originally considered. Now, they mentioned the role that he was in a previous movie. Now, apparently that role was really manly. It carried, it was a certain type of character. And when he was presented with the role for Marcellus, the anal rape scene is what turned him off to the role, because he said his fans, it wouldn't go over well with his fans from his previous character.
And this is Ving Rhames.
No, this is Max saying that.
Max talking. Okay, so I just wanted to clear that up.
This is who it was written for. This is who Quentin originally thought he saw playing the role, but he passed it up because of the anal rape. Now here's where it gets incredibly interesting, I thought. So, according to the article, Ving Rhames actually embraced it, the anal rape scene. Mm-hmm. Not just the role, but the anal rape scene, because the way he looks doesn't allow him to normally play vulnerable characters.
Oh, I can see. Okay.
And to get even crazier, Quentin Tarantino said he was very alone in his unconcern. It was a sheer mark of his masculinity. So everybody else was concerned about that role and what that would do to his image as an actor. Uh-huh. And, because
Okay. Now, that's so funny because Vin Rhames, he's a beast, man. You look at him, he's a pit boy. Oh,
exactly.
Dude, imagine him getting mad at you. You're like, okay, I don't want to go any further with this. I'm sorry. Right?
Yeah, he's fucking terrible.
So I can see that. I can see that he wants to have man-on-man guy sex in the movie. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. No, I can see that he wanted to play that more vulnerable type, and he sees it. Okay, here's my chance. Let's, as vulnerable as you can be, as his look and his demeanor. Now, let's go to back like in our first podcast. I brought this movie up. I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry. Mm-hmm. He's also in that movie. And he plays a gay guy.
In the shower, one of the funniest scenes of all time.
Oh.
One of the funniest scenes.
Oh.
Is that Ving Rhames?
Yes. Yes, that is. That's him.
It's one of the best scenes ever.
So,
shit.
So he's like very feminine in that. And it's very, comical. You know what I mean? Yeah. This one, it's not comical. He's a beast.
Contrasting, yeah.
You know? So, okay, so he's the one that's embraced it.
And he's like, everybody else was, concerned. And again, Quentin said he was very alone in his own. So he was like literally the only one who was like, I don't give a shit. Bring that shit on.
Bring 3 dildos.
I'm manly enough to know that this isn't real. And I don't give a shit if somebody thinks it's real. Because I know it's not real. And it's like that. Again, as Quentin also said, it was a sheer mark of his masculinity. That, whether that's an actual quote or not, whoever actually said that or came up with that, that's a brilliant explanation.
To me, if you can...
let me pose that to you. Let me pose that to you.
Would you take it like that on video as it was your first acting role?
Well, I don't know.
Some actors are like that. Me... I don't know. I think I would have to be... I don't know, because I'm not an actor. I mean, having that actor mindset, what if that is like, yeah, of course. That makes you... some actors are like, challenge me. I want to be challenged.
Yeah.
Like, you've heard of actors going and being alone for months so they can play solid, very solitude act characters. Yes. You hear of, people bringing up very traumatic emotions or things they went through so they can cry and see.
They did that in this movie. They did that in this movie. I forgot about that. So John Travolta, because he, is concerned about the heroin, and he's like, I've never done heroin. I'm not into heavy drugs. I don't know how to act like that. So he went pretty, I guess, not method, but because that would mean he did heroin. But he actually went and spent time with addicts taking notes
as they were shooting it up.
Yeah. So he, and apparently one of his, he had an actor friend who was an ex-addict, and he told him, this is fucking weird. And I tried to look and read into it a little bit more to see if anybody could verify this or not, because I'm like, this is just bizarre if this is true. John Travolta was told by his acting buddy, an ex-heroin addict, to replicate a heroin high, drink as much tequila as possible, and lay in a warm pool or tub of water.
Oh, wow.
That's heroin?
Oh, well,
that's it?
I've heard, like, when they shoot up heroin, it's like just warm, and it's going through their body. And I don't know if you've ever had ultrasounds or where they had to scan you and stuff and do X-rays. Sometimes they put dye in your body, and it does that same effect. So I can see him saying, do something with like that. Damn, getting hella hammered. Dude, that is weird.
Yeah, so that's a
just fucking.
That could be on our channel.
What?
We'll have somebody, whether it's us or somebody we know, drink as much tequila as possible. But then how do we know? Hey, is that like heroin? We have to get somebody who's done heroin.
Oh yeah, we do. I got tons of friends that do heroin. Shit, I
flip through my address book.
Never seen my case.
But I still want to get this documented or see if it's on YouTube. But ideally, have us do this. Just experiment and see somebody who's willing to drink hopefully not get alcohol poisoning and drink as much tequila as possible, and then we'll just get them in a warm tub. That's not too hard to do. And be like, hey, how fucked up do you feel right now?
Right?
Are you fiending? Are you Do you not give
feeding for more tequila? We'll give it to you.
Do you not give a shit about your family? You don't give a shit about food.
Do you want to fucking just go live on the streets right now?
Yeah.
If not, you want more
tequila?
Are
you nodding off?
Are you nodding off on us right now? Are you coming back? Are you coming back?
That would be fun. Anyway.
Okay, yeah. Tune into the next. So okay, back to Vin.
So the whole thing was John Travolta went out and went in person and learn what it was like to be a heroin user.
And so, it brings people to be challenged there. And that's what we're talking about. And Vin Rames seems like he's being challenged in this role.
That's exactly what it comes across as.
As of, I changed the whole subject on this by saying Chuck and Larry. That was a comedy. So that's funny. Big, strong guy. And then he comes up, he walks up and the guy's like, oh man, okay, what's he going to say? Because they came out being gay. So
right, exactly.
He comes up to him and he goes, I just want to tell you I'm free. And he hugs him and he goes, oh my God. And he's all very that flamboyant gay guy now.
Yeah. And so in a comedy, you don't really think twice.
Because it's funny. It's a big guy. It's
you're just like, it's his role.
It's the contrast of that role of how he looked. So that's funny. But as this one, it's like he's a mean son of a bitch. He's the bad dude.
The baddest.
And then all of a sudden, he's getting raped by this freaking security guard guy.
Yeah, you have to act like you are the baddest man on earth, and now you have to act like you are being completely dominated. Like you have no power whatsoever. You are the most powerful to nothing.
To nothing. 0 to 100 real quick. And okay, so now that we've talked about Marcellus Wallace, he has this Band-Aid in the movie.
Oh yeah.
It's on the back of his neck.
Weird story.
And first thing that came to my mind, once again, because you just hear all the fumbles and backstage just about what happened, is I thought, okay, maybe he had a cut and they just put that on there and they didn't want to see that, or they just covered it up. Well, it was that. Vin Rames cut himself shaving, and it was over one of his scars, and it cut it really bad, and he had the Band-Aid on there. And when he came in, Quentin Tarantino was like, hey, I like that look. I like that. That looks good on your character. Mm-hmm. I don't know why, but boom, let's go with it. And they went with it. And
nice touch.
When you see him, the first time you meet his character,
that's what you see.
You don't see his face. That's what you see. The Band-Aid in the back of his head.
That is weird.
That's crazy, right?
Really weird to think about.
And then so now bring them all the way where we're talking about is now they're going down the street being chased. They go right around the corner into this pawn shop. He's Bruce Willis is in there waiting for Vin Rames.
Yeah.
Who's Marcellus Wallace. So now here comes in Marcellus Wallace. Right? Bruce Willis's character, Butch, puts him to the ground, puts a gun to his head, and is about to shoot him.
Yeah.
The clerk pulls out a shotgun.
Racist bastard.
Yeah. Racks it, pop, pop, and tells him, ain't nobody killing nobody here. And he's like, mind your business, mister. And he goes, nope.
He made him up, or whatever
Whatever he says, and fucking he ends up getting them both, and he knocks them out. Bah,
yeah, that turned really creepy all of a sudden.
Yeah, that turns like
out of all the stores to go in, you went into fucking psychopathic redneck out of L.A.
Right.
Whatever, we'll skip over that.
But the thing is, that's what I guess when I first seen this movie as a kid, because I was a kid when I watched this movie, is I've never seen this before, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Yeah. You're like, what the fuck? Yeah. So they get captured. I don't know where the movie's going. Yeah. I have no idea where the movie's going. So I'm thinking they're going to either kill these guys, shoot them, and he's all, which one you want to do first? And I'm thinking they're going to just kill these guys, because it was like nobody kills, unless me or Zed, or something about Zed. Yeah. Then Zed shows up, right? Because he has him locked. He takes him downstairs, locks him up, and then he wakes him up, and then Zed comes. They go downstairs. He goes, what do you want to do with them?
They bring out the Gimp, right?
Oh, yes, the Gimp. Oh, my God. Let's talk about that.
That was fucked up.
A guy who sleeps inside a chest.
Yeah. Oh, God, that was messed up.
In an all-black leather suit with zippers, right? Yeah. He has zippers, right, for his eyes and mouth.
I think so.
And they're sitting there, and he goes, well, what do you want to do with these two? And he goes, go grab the gimp. And he goes, he's sleeping. I said, fucking grab the gimp.
Yeah.
And they wake his ass up, and they pull him out. Then he has him on a chain, and he just like tap, tap, tap,
on his
tap,
head.
tap, tap on
That
his head.
was creepy.
Right? How creepy is that? And you're like, where the fuck is this going now?
And that guy ended up being a big actor. I didn't write anything down about him. He was kind of a minor role, but he has
tons of roles now. Yeah,
and he plays that creepy, that same character,
but not minus the raper, minus the guy raper.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah,
he's minus the guy raper. He was the guy raper. But we jumped the gun, so he goes. They take him in. They go. They play the eeny, meeny, miny, mo game.
That was fucked up.
Pick Marcellus Wallace. Pull him into the room.
Yeah.
They close the door, leave Butch out, locked to the chair with the gimp. Now,
that was.
Remember, the gimp's mouth is closed.
He was like laughing because he was trying to escape.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, when he escapes, he's trying to alert them, but he can't because he's got that. So he knocks him out, goes upstairs,
he's just hanging.
Yeah, he goes upstairs and he's about to take off, and then he hears him yelling. Marcellus Wallace, and so he's like, oh fuck. So interesting is each item he takes off is an item from another movie. You got the bat from the first Walking Tall. You got the machete from Jason. You got the chainsaw from Texas Chainsaw.
I read about that. Yeah.
Then the samurai from I forgot what. I'm so horrible on this. So he picks the samurai, right? And then he walks back down. He walks downstairs. He opens the door. And then that's when you hear the music, the blaring trumpets. Oh, my God. I drew a blank. I remembered the song, Pepper. Oh, my God. It's going to be... Anywho, let's...
Insert music here.
Insert music right here. Yep, exactly. Well, anyways, he comes in. The first guy they meet in the pawn shop turns around. Yeah. Not Zed, but the lackey turns around. Creepy. That's when he gets like when me and my wife's in it, because she got to see it, because I told you I'm going to see it again, watch it again. She watched it with me and she was like, "What the fuck?" She goes, "I thought he was going to slice his head off," and I go, "Oh, that's what I thought so too when I first watched it. I thought he was going to get sliced." And then when he turns around, he just fucking slices his torso, and then he just does the. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then
that seemed like he picked that back up with Kill Bill, very Kill Bill-esque.
Yes,
but it seemed cooler because it wasn't. Kill Bill had that ninja aspect, whereas this
one didn't. It was
a
just
boxer.
And then he pulls it out, and then he walks up, and Zed turns around, scared, and he has a sword knife to him. He's like, "Pick it up, the gun."
Yeah,
He's like, "Pick up the gun, come on." And then that's nobody sees it because it's. This is the greatest thing is how, the camera work. We'll get it back to the camera work later, but the camera work on here is so amazing because in this scene you don't see Marcellus Wallace's character.
Right.
You just see Butch and Zed, and they're talking, having their dialogue. Then you hear Marcellus Wallace off camera say, "Move out of the way," and then that's when Bruce Willis moves out of the way. And he busts him right in his dick with the shotgun. Yeah. Boom!
Just squirming.
And then that's when Marcellus Wallace becomes the bad motherfucker again.
Mm-hmm.
And you go,
"Are we cool?"
And he's like,
"Yeah, we cool.
Besides me and fucking pedophile or man rapist here. Oh, I got different stories." He's dope on that one.
Man, they should have done almost like Just Call Saul. Whatever the follow-up to Breaking Bad, like a little spin-off, off of one of the minor characters. They should have done that for him and done a follow-up to just him torturing the pedo man.
That
just
guy.
Fucked up. Guess, Quentin's brilliant at gore.
Yeah.
Just let him go loose with that. And just the ultimate... Well, he's done a couple of revenge movies. Django? Wasn't that a revenge?
Yeah.
Anyways, but, that was a good, satisfying moment.
Yeah, where he's gonna take his revenge, and they resolve. See, there you go.
Yeah,
another resolve at the end of that clip, because after that, he jumps on Zed's Harley, takes off. She goes, whose bike's that? Zed, where's Zed? Zed's dead. And then they take off. They take off from the motel on the bike. He money in hand. He's ready to rock and roll. He's clear as fuck. Now we come to the next scene, which is
the diner.
No,
is it not?
Apartment, where he gives him the passage. Because remember when he tells him the passage and he shoots him, it goes blank. Then we cut from that and go into the other one. That's what makes this movie crazy. And you're like, what? Yeah, right? Yeah, exactly. That's how it makes you feel.
Rewatch it again.
Yeah, so then you cut from there. And now we come back to the apartment. Now it's they killed that dude. And then they talk to dude. And then that dude jumps out of the bathroom. And then he starts shooting him. Pop, 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 pop. Then the dude drops. Remember that? Right? Yeah. Or am I wrong?
I'm not great with chronology, obviously.
I could be wrong, though, too. But I remember they left the apartment with Lamar. Remember?
Yes.
And then...
and
then they blew his head off. Yeah. Then they did the whole scene with him at Quentin Tarantino's house. Pulled the car in. Yeah. Right? Are we right? Or am I wrong? Ladies and gentlemen, that's what happens when you're
There's so much shit that happened in this movie. I have 3 pages of notes, yet I'm still missing so much shit. That's how in-depth this movie is. That's how good it is. That's how intertwined and in-depth it is. And, Quentin Tarantino, he said what he was trying to do, and again, I had to look this up because I forgot the term, but he's like, it took an omnibus of stories and made them into one. And, one of the first to do it at that time. And he did it brilliantly. And even 25 years later, it still holds its own. It's a movie you have to watch multiple times.
Okay, so now we come to that scene. We got the apartment. They pick up Lamar. They take him. And it's almost like, I don't want to say comedy, shooting someone's head off.
It was, yeah.
But it was like... oops moment kind of thing, and you're like, oh, because when I first saw it, that was my reaction. Like, I flinched and I was like, oh crap, I didn't see that coming.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like, what the fuck did you just do?
Well, apparently the execs had an issue with that. They thought it would be way too gory, and then they thought there would be huge backlash, but they ended up saying, well, but it is funny, and there was no backlash.
So, okay, and then another thing is, what happened was, the original plan was to make Vincent shoot him, and then it actually gets him in the throat, and he's like, getting crazy. So he shoots him in the head for a mercy kill. But
that's brutal.
They figured that was a little too much with them dying and shit in front of everybody.
That could have been,
And it would have been a little too much for his character not to be liked anymore. So they toned it down, and they went with the one shot accidentally
They toned it down with his head exploding.
But the thing is, when they shoot him, his head explodes, and you see the explosion happen on
right,
Vincent Vega. Right. Travolta's character takes the blood, and it's all in. Oh my god! I thought it was kind of funny.
Wash my hair.
My god!
Get my hair. That was disgusting. And they had to do the cleanup.
And then he's like, "Oh yeah." So they call his buddy. Buddy's like, "Sure, come over." They pull in. He's like, "Hey, we're sorry about this. They're full of blood. They wash their hands."
Get on the
towel. He gets them out of it. And he goes, "Hey, I'm just saying, it's a delicate." Another back and forth with them. Their dialogue's amazing in that scene. They just, they're now very tense with each other. The problem is, they were leaving. They shot Lamar. Now they have to do this unexpected stop. Yeah. And you're like, motherfucker, are you serious? So that's his whole demeanor, and John Travolta, his thing is he's more of a laid back. He's a heroin addict, so he's more of a laid back guy. He's like, what's the big deal?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Okay, well, it's not a big deal. It's like, yes, it is. So he gets to call Marcellus Wallace. Marcellus Wallace is very cool, very calm, and he tells him, "Don't worry. I'm sending the wolf."
Oh, the wolf. That's who it is.
And then it's the actor. Do you know him?
I somehow I didn't write down his name or anything.
Harvey Keitel.
Is that Keitel?
Harvey Keitel.
Who also did some of the writing. Wait, was that in the article? Yeah, but I know he had an issue with Quentin mispronouncing his name. Keitel or Keitel. That was part of the article. Anyway.
Okay. Yeah, maybe. Okay. He's a big time gangster guy.
He's definitely.
And then he walks. He pulls up. He goes, takes 13 minutes to get to you. I'll be there in 10.
He said 40, and I'll get there in like 13
or something like that. That's
ridiculous.
right. That's right. Yeah, that's right. Okay. And then he gets there, and then again, John Travolta, not a big deal. Why is everybody in a rush? Why is everybody hungry? Gets in conflict with the wolf. He's like, you're yelling all these directions. Can you say please? And he goes, excuse me, I'm sorry. And he gets an earful. That scene where he walks into the living room, tells him that Marcellus Wallace, where he calls the wrecking yard to say, hey, I got a package coming. Then he turns over to talk to Quentin Tarantino and tells him Uncle Marcellus Wallace will pay you. I think they should have cut that scene out. I don't know. But to me, I'm not an editor, so what up? But so that was another. It went boom. They go there to that scene. Then they cut to them cleaning out because he tells them to go clean out the car, spick and span. Then they clean the car out, and he goes, "Now we got to clean you guys off." They clean them off. They give them the extra clothes. They make fun of them. Mm-hmm. They jump in the car. They go and dump it off at the junkyard. Take a taxi to the diner. Last scene.
We're in the diner. Great scene.
Which it is because the diner, remember how I was saying earlier how the diner and that scene correlate? How now we see in the assassin scene when they first show up to the apartment, he's a very, don't give a shit. Let's get the job done. Boom to, hey, I've turned my eye. We're not, I'm not doing no more. I'm going to walk. Yeah, that was crazy. And then Tim Roth, it's so cool because when I first watched it, I was like, well, what was that first scene about? And then when you get into the movie, you're like, what first scene? You're like, what first scene? What?
That's why it's such a good moment when it brings it together.
Like, at the end when they're talking and all of a sudden you hear it in the background.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, because when they go to the diner, it shows just a close up of them talking, and then also see them. Yeah, and then all of a sudden you hear them and that comes up to what I was talking about, the camera work in this. So you hear them off camera. Mm-hmm. And boom, it ties it all up. It's the glue. Boom. Okay, that's why we're in the diner. Because we're not seeing what's behind the camera. Behind the camera is Jules and Vincent talking about what just went down. Vincent takes off to the bathroom. He's drinking his coffee. She gets up. She says her line. And now they're all in the robbery. And remember how he said, happens to be one of the customers that they thought it was going to be easy to steal from.
Yeah.
And then remember he tells him, he goes, usually I say that, after I say that, I blast the motherfucker's brains out.
Yep.
Once again, Samuel L. Jackson killed it in that.
Yes.
So it ties it all back together. You see the starting of that was them two so pissed off and him not taking it serious to now everything was taken care of. They resolved the whole cleaning up the body, smashing it. Now you see John Travolta's character who's like, fuck, you're crazy. This is what we do. This is how we do it. You see how he's talking, but you already seen what happened to him. He died. From that moment when he took off, you seen it before that scene, so you already know what happened to him. He's just talking out of his ass because he leads that life and he died. As a Jules stopped and he didn't die. Jules just took off. Now, if you want to do a spinoff, you could do a spinoff on Jules.
Ooh,
that would be a good one. Why didn't they do that, right? Like a ex-hitman turned good guy.
Interesting.
Jules.
I'm genuinely surprised Quentin Or maybe he
Quinn,
did.
if you do it, hit us up. We'll just give you pointers like that's cool. That's a cool idea. You should keep that. Oh, you wrote that? That's sick.
It'll be official notes as long as we get points on the end.
Yeah, we're like the hype guys of your writing.
Boo, Quentin. Fuck that idea. We're sitting in the director chairs at the side while they're doing the film and just yelling at Quentin. Because we think it was our idea.
We get tossed off within the first week. Security houses.
Yeah, we would.
But okay, back to the movie is, oh man, what were we just talking about? That was so funny. The writing, because it has to be. No. Why didn't there's a spinoff on Jules? See, that's once again. But anywho, so Jules ends up talking to him. He's a happy-go-camper. John Travolta isn't, and then end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That movie's a badass movie.
Yeah.
I mean, if you didn't like it, how we just kind of half-assed told it, then I don't know what your fucking problem is, basically.
Okay. Here's a tiny, ridiculous observation that it kind of irked me because I'm like, what? John Travolta's character showed up at Uma Thurman's, and then when they came back from the dancing,
that's right. The door.
When
was
they came
open.
back, he'd open and then just leave it. I'm like, you're the guest. Close her fucking door. And you're the owner. Why do you not care that your door is open? Do you not have bugs?
When you go to Corey's, you close the fucking door when you go to Corey's.
There's fucking bugs where I live. What
fucking
the fuck?
close the door. God damn it. No, but okay. Oh, so let's go back to what I was saying. Camera.
Mm-hmm.
The camera on this was amazing. Now, let's talk about budget. Budget was only $8 million. And people are like, oh, only $8 million. $8 million for a movie, a cinematic movie, is not a lot.
No.
Not a lot.
No,
especially when you
well, I mean, Bruce Willis, that's almost your entire budget gone on his... If you cast him at what he normally goes for, $5 million.
Yeah, and that's a blockbuster. That's a blockbuster, and they got a tremendous budget. Okay, so this guy, he doesn't even get to use that kind of budget. He gets an $8 million budget that he pulls together from anybody he can pitch this thing to. So now he has to buy cameras or camera crew to do all the filming, and then he has to spend money on very, very top-end lights. I mean, very top-end lights to make the lighting look great, the cinematography great. So back to the camera work. The camera work is amazing for the fact that in a lot of scenes there was a lot of off-screen dialogue. Like, okay, once they put Uma Thurman on the ground when she was ODing, and he's going, go get the book. Go fucking stop talking to me. And he's like, I'm not talking to you. The camera's looking down at them, right? Mm-hmm. And then he comes walking by, and the camera pans to him, and he stays there. In comes his wife, starts asking him what he's doing. She's standing right here. He's in that room. There, you hear dialogue. They're yelling, and everybody's crying. It's just pandemonium. You know what I mean? And you're like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And you hear it, and you're just stuck right there in that view. That's what makes you kind of feel weird in that situation. You hear all this stuff happening often. It makes that whole situation awkward. It makes it so like, oh, that doesn't make you feel right. You're like, okay, that's weird. That's what I love about the camera work on here. He always would stay here, and then once again, diner. You're seeing it tight on them, and then you hear in the background them yell. There's a couple other ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's pretty much what we got with this one. Unless you got some more to add to this.
One last thing, I suppose. I'm not I don't put an insane amount of praise on his word, but it's worth mentioning. Roger Ebert quoted as saying this is the most influential movie of the 1990s.
Oh, wow.
That says a lot, I would say.
I like that guy.
Granted, I don't agree with his reviews. You have to respect. He's seen everything.
Yeah, he's
everything, and he knows what it means to make movies.
He has his. Another thing about it. Oh, what was I gonna say? That was such great such a great good one. That was a good tidbit. I forgot my tidbit.
Is there anything else? There was 70. So, if I'm not mistaken, the diner they go to, Jack Flap Rabbit's Flak Jacks.
Black
Flak Jacks on a tack plaque.
Jack Black.
That was the only constructed set, but they had 70 film locations.
Oh wow, that's dope.
70.
I love that they that was the only one.
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
That really looked so dope. I wanted to go to that place. I go, man, does this
I know,
place even
right?
exist?
Yeah, you'd have to
I
make
bet you
it.
people still want to. I mean, I wonder if anybody's gonna try to do that. You know,
You'd think there's big enough fan that somebody's done it,
right?
even if it was like maybe a theme party or something like that.
Something like that. Well, this movie was great. We try to hit up a lot of topics. The briefcase. We try to hit the briefcase. We hit the actors who was gonna play the roles. We hit up. Huh?
I think we got everybody who was talked about. Because Marcellus was supposed to be Max. Travolta, Daniel Day-Lewis, Sean Penn. The third one I'd never heard of, William Hurt. I can't remember if I looked him up. I don't think I knew who he was. And then Paul Calderon, who almost took Samuel L. Jackson's part. Again, how would have that been different? I believe he is Spanish or Mexican. So that would have been a whole different feeling. You know, because that, you know, the vibe that Samuel L. Jackson brang it.
He brang it.
He brang it hard.
He brang it hard.
No, but you know, it was incredible, and it's hard to match that. It's hard to.
Well, no, it's like remastered or remixed. Okay, like you can you can say, oh, I wish I would have changed this, or I wish I would have changed that. Back when you did it, because you remember all the fuck ups, all the mishaps, all the delays, everything that happened, everything. You know? So you're like, okay, I wish I did this, and this different. Boom. Done. And that would have made it better. But now it's like 10 years, people are still talking about it. They love what you gave. If you try to revive that movie and do it the way you wanted to do it, people wouldn't take to it as weird. What you thought, because really they really love the original. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
You know, it's like a rock song. You know, that you're like, oh man, that song's so dope. It went platinum. And then you're the engineer or the guy that recorded and said, oh man, I wanted to change the snare to this. I wanted to do that. And then you get a chance to remix it or remaster it, and you do it. And it doesn't sound, it's not the same feel. They're like, oh, I could tell they did something different. So, you know, you got true fans that know the difference and love stuff like that. And when you give and put out there, you're like, oh man, I wish I could have took out this. It turns out people are like, dude, we love that already. You're like, wow. And I applaud to Quentin Tarantino. This is
everybody
genius writing work with him.
Genius acting, genius cinematography,
yes,
audio, everything. It's a pretty perfect movie.
Yeah, if you're gonna watch it after this, yeah, we didn't know justice. I'm just checking. All right. Sorry.